Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. Or does it? Of course not. You can clearly see the sword animation is right there, hitting my opponent. But why is it not actually hitting them? Hitboxes. One of the hardest things to code and balance in fighting games. Whether it's because the shape of your hitboxing is extremely weird, like squares or circles, or because its shape is too perfect, like in Skullgirls. So you get weird interactions. Those said interactions are the main catch of hitboxes, but let's set things straight. In Brawlhalla, hitboxes are often circle or oval shaped. Aerial hitboxes lose against grounded ones, if they were to clash of course, but the main idea is there. And there's two types of hitboxes, normal hitboxes and activation hitboxes. You know them, you've seen them. You've been hit by them multiple times, sword end light, spear side light, Reno side sig on orb, and the list goes on. Nothing else to say here, the explaining comes later. I'm pretty sure you've had some salty encounters with these. Auto release. What does that happen? Why does Scythe ground pound hit me when I'm literally on the side? What is that dot below access ground pound? It might sound pretty straightforward, but in some cases it isn't, so allow me to explain a little bit. If we set aside the line of sight, one of the requirements for a hitbox to collide with an opposing hurtbox, the activation hitbox's sole purpose is to connect with said opposing hurtbox. You can have Axe ground pound be a continuously rotating hitbox for the entirety of its active frames. That'd be oddly broken in either way. That's when the activation hitbox comes in play. It requires to be either in touch with the solid ground of the stage, not a platform, and or the opponent's hurtbox to release the following hitbox, a normal hitbox. When I ask for weapons with activation hitbox on their moves, you quickly think about Axe's ground pound or Scythe ground pound. But is there even more of those? I'll answer that in a second. In fact, the only weapons without an activation hitbox are Spear, Sword, Bow, Katars, and Greatsword. All of those weapons only have a normal hitbox for their ground pounds, and the other weapons have an activation hitbox before they release their ground pound. Said hitbox has a 1 damage value if it collides correctly with your opponent's hurtbox. But there is one activation hitbox in the game that doesn't have said damage value. It only has the stun, and that is Gauntlet's ground pound. You can see the activation hitbox there on Wu Chang's face, and you'd think, like the other hitboxes, it'll have the same damage value, but not. For some reason, it doesn't have any damage, but it does stun the player for 1 frame. It's kinda weird. I've been doing this for like a couple minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and I don't seem to get the 1 frame value. But not only the ground pounds have activation hitboxes, Grab like 6 also have them. And I'm not talking about the true 2 or 3-parter 6. Those don't need an activation hitbox to release their full power. Soul Sightsig on both Cannon and Axe also have an activation hitbox. For example, Cannon Sightsig has the activation hitbox with a 1 damage value and a second hitbox with a 5 damage value to position their enemy so the sig doesn't drop. Axe Sightsig has an activation hitbox and the positioning hitbox, but you can't skip one of them, since you can manually release the sig, and it lingers the little activation hitbox for a while. And let's have a quick round of 6 with activation hitboxes. Yumiko's Hammer end sig, Soul's Axe down sig, Zariel's Bow end sig, Zariel's Gauntlet side sig, Artemis's Scythe side sig. Say that a couple times. Artemis's Scythe side sig. Artemis. It's kind of weird. And the last ones, at least for this list, Barassa's Blaster down sig, etc. The list goes on and on with any of the other grab moves. But remember the sword D-Light that I showed in the beginning of the video? What's up with that? Well, rather than a hitbox issue, it's a mishap on the animation. On the recent patches, Sword D-Light has been hit with a reduction of its threat range, but the animation was left the same, and there are many sigs and moves that have a misplacement on their animations. That's another big reason on why balancing hitboxes is hard. You can't make everything perfect, but you can't make everything look like Lincoln's loud batter move. Like seriously, what the fuck is this?
Hey, butter butter!